closest friend, I will worship you until the very end. And I will worship you into the very end.
Welcome to our service. We're so glad you have connected with us today. And if this is your first time, we certainly hope it's not your last. Today we're starting a brand new series. Yes, you heard it, a brand new series. It's been a long time. We haven't started a new series. And today is the day. And this series is called Pack Your Bags. And the subtitle for this series is How to Prepare for What's Next. How to prepare for what's next. Some of us has some idea of what's next. Maybe you have graduation, a college, a wedding, you're gonna have a baby or you're gonna have another baby, a new job, school, empty nest, retirement. We all moving from one season to the next. And we sometimes this, as you see it coming, as you see it getting closer, the next season of your life, you feel excited or sometimes you feel stressed. It is stressful because next means transition, next means change, and next means stress. So transitions are always stressful, even though the ones that you will look forward to, even though the ones that we want, sometimes they add stress to our life. And the question should be, the better question should be to answer, are there things that we can do now that will prepare us for what's next? Are there things that we can do right now, today, where we are right now, that will get us ready for what's next? It's been said that if you were to prepare yourself at every task, at every season of your life, the way you prepare yourself when you're going that week before you go into vacation, everything you do will bring better results. Because before you go into vacation, I don't know if you're like me, you want to make sure that everything is set, everything is paid, everything is in its place, because you don't want nothing to interrupt that time, that season, that spot, that week, that 3 days, that vacation of yours. The same thing is true for life. If we want tomorrow to be better, we need to do something right now. So what can we do when we pack in our bags? What can we pack that will make that will make tomorrow better? But the thing is that we all prepare things. We all get our bags ready for what's next. We all carrying stuff to the next season of our lives. And we can bring things that we think we're going to need. But one of the things that we all bring into the next season, it's something that we pack with everything we bring into the marriage life, into a new profession, into school, anywhere you're going, whatever you bring with you, along with the things you bring with you, you know what else you pack? You pack you. You pack yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, you bring you. And not only, even though it's a new view, a new thing that you're going to do, that doesn't mean that that's a new you. You're still the same old girl, the same boy, the same guy, the same spending habits, the same relationship habits, the same ethics, the same morals, the same strength, and even harder, the same weaknesses. Even though you are a single person now and you're going into marriage life, you're still going to bring the habits of your old self, of the single guy. You know, it is just how life works. If you don't get ready right now where you are, the next season of your life might not be very promising, because you know something? This season is a good predictor of the next. Whatever you're going through today, whatever you're doing now, is a good predictor of how you're going to be tomorrow. You don't expect tomorrow to be better if you're not doing something today for that to happen. There's no necessary correlation between knowing what's next and being prepared for what's next. You can know what's next, but that doesn't mean you're ready. Just knowing what's coming doesn't get you ready. There's some things you have to do. There's some habits you have to acquire. There's others that you have to replace. There's stuff that you need to actually do right now to make you or to have you ready for what's next. Knowing what's right and having the availability to do what's right are two different things. You know, I could always know everything I'm supposed to do, everything that I ought to do, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Knowing is not equal as doing. Doing is what makes all the difference, as we're going to see. I'm jumping ahead of myself. James, who's James? James is the brother of Jesus. He said something very important. He said, you will be blessed. James, the brother of Jesus, says, you will be blessed if you do. You will be blessed in what you do. You will be blessed in what you do. He says something. This is so good, because what is he's saying is people will be blessed in what they do. And a lot of us think that whatever we plan, whatever we write down, whatever we know about where we're going, about what's next in our life, that right there, it will be blessed. James, the brother of Jesus, he said, you will be blessed in what you do. You will be blessed in what you do. There is something you can do in this season that will set you up for success in the next. From personal experience, this is true. One of the best habits to prepare you for the future is to apply what you hear, what you learn. I realized that, a couple of years ago, let's say 2018, I was dealing with a lot of financial stress. I was basically in debt, and there was a lot of financial stress. And then I started learning about how to get out of debt, how not to be comfortable with credit card debts, how not to be comfortable with debts in your life. It might be normal for a lot of people. Then I started hearing this information, but knowing about it didn't do much different as when I actually started doing changes around my own life to actually get out of that situation, get out of that season. So the best thing that we can do for the future is to apply what we hear now. And I'm going to share with you later on what is it that I did to start in the habit of becoming somebody freed of that. And then, but just hearing something, that doesn't mean you're going to do it. But you gotta get into the habit of application. Just as application is what makes all the different nows, it will also prepare you to stay like that in the future, to stay with you. James says something very interesting, and he says this. He says next, he said, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. For James, listening, in his times, he's using the word listen because they didn't have the written scripture. They didn't have all the contents and books like we have today. He says listening to the word because he didn't have the internet and watching videos on YouTube and watching tutorials for how to be better. James has to say this, merely listening to the word, and you're just going to be deceived yourself. He said you have to substitute listening for doing. Nobody gives us credit for just hearing something, for just knowing something. The credit we assume for knowing the truth, we don't get credit for knowing the truth. We get credit for saying the truth, for doing what's right, for doing what's good. And James says something else. He said, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. And then he adds, and he says, do what he says. He said, do what he says. Just don't listen to the word. Just don't read. Just don't watch tutorial how to become an entrepreneur. Don't watch tutorial how to become a better person. Just do what you already know. Just do what he says. Don't just read the word. Just don't come to the service and listen to the preaching. Do what he says. And he goes and says, he says next, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what he says, he goes and he brings one of the best illustrations of the whole New Testament. He said, and don't do what he said. He said, it's like someone who looks at his face in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away, immediately forgets what he looks like. So, it seems someone who sees something that's a little off but doesn't do something, that's something none of us will ever do. Basically, you look yourself in the mirror in the morning, and if you notice that something is off, you don't stay like that. Today when you got up and you saw yourself in the mirror, you just didn't actually, oh, something is wrong, my face is dirty, I had to comb my hair. You just didn't see and didn't do nothing about it. Because you know what? You and I know something. A mirror requires a response. A mirror requires an action. You don't just see something and do nothing. It's like the saying in New York, if you see something, say something. You don't just see something in the mirror and do absolutely nothing. You take an action. I know how long you stand in the mirror until it gets better. We all stay in the mirror until we see what we see is better than what we recently just saw when we got into and saw ourselves in the mirror. Tomorrow, you will look in the mirror and feel convicted in what you see. You feel that you need action, that you got to do something, and you will do something about it. Getting our hair right has less to do with the direction and the quality of our lives than getting our behavior right. No one gets credit by just looking at the mirror, by looking themselves in the mirror. You can't meet with clients looking like that. You can't go outside and just look the way, but you actually look yourself in the mirror, you did what you have to do, and then you go out. Seeing something but doing nothing, if you do that now, you will do that later. James says, if you're trying for your next season of your lives to be better, don't just do like someone that looks themselves in the mirror, they notice something is off, and they just leave and forget about what they saw. He adds and he says, but whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom. And then here he brings something very interesting. He introduces a habit that prepares us for what's next. He said, stop and look down, look at something, find our reflection. And he brings the law. And what he meant by the law, he meant the perfect law, the law of Jesus. When he brought his disciples, said, love one another as I have loved you. And then he brings and said, when you look at yourself against that law, change yourself against it. Find yourself, just make it a habit to be better according to that law. And that will bring and that will bring freedom into your life. That will bring freedom. The New Testament imperative are application of that one law, that promise that will give us freedom. The promise is if we love each other like Jesus loved us, we will find freedom. And then this is something, doing this will create freedom later. For example, like I told you in the beginning, when I was in debt, I learned these principles about giving, saving, and living on the rest. And it's called give, save, and live on the rest. And then I started right away. I started following that. It wasn't liberating. It wasn't liberating in the beginning. I didn't feel I had to do some changes. It didn't feel good in the beginning, but it led to financial freedom eventually. Not because I heard it, but because I did something about it. It's like forgiving. It's like forgiveness. When you have to forgive someone, it doesn't feel like forgiving that person and letting them go. But it doesn't feel liberating in the beginning. But if you do it, it does. It's like sexual purity. It's liberating when you have to say no and stay pure if you're not married, if you're outside of marriage. No, sexual purity now paves the way to sexual intimacy later. If you stay pure now, if you decide to wait to the right person when you are married, it might not feel good right now, but it will bring freedom. It will bring intimacy later, because exclusivity, not experience, fuels romance. I could go on and give you more examples that doing something good now, doing something that is not what you want to do at this moment, will actually get you what you need tomorrow. I could go on and bring that, but that's something we could leave that for another message. But I want you to know, I want to remind you, if you already know, that the seasons of life are connected. The seasons of life are connected. Where you are now talks a lot of where you're going to be tomorrow. You have to do the things now that will make you get further and faster in life. And then Jones keeps going and says, but whoever looks, he adds and said, but whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gets freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. And this is important here. Not that they will do, not what they do will be blessed. James is not saying that what the people do will be blessed. He's saying they will be blessed in what they do. Literally, you will be blessed, you will be happy, you will be fulfilled in the doing. The habit of doing will make you happy. That's what John is saying. Not the habit of knowing, not the habit of just knowing what I got to do, but the habit of doing what you know you have to do. It's what will make you happy. It doesn't feel, it's like going out for a run. You don't feel like going out and doing it, but after you do it, you feel like $1 million. You feel better. There is a personal fulfillment in responding to what we see in the mirror. When we see that something is not right with us and we fix it, we feel good. We feel better. The same thing is in life. That big habit of preparation for what's next, being a doer now, is a preparation for being a doer later. And that's the first thing you need to pack for whatever season you're moving into. It could be a marriage, it could be going back to school, it could be saying yes to God and following Jesus. Whatever it is that you're doing, becoming a doer, somebody that takes things and just do it, is a preparation to be a doer later. If you don't do it today, if you don't rehearse today, if you don't practice today, what guarantee that you will do it tomorrow? The habit of saying yes to God now is a habit that will follow you and will prepare you for the next season in your life. Even if the next season requires a different set of do's, even if the next season requires all the things that you do, but saying yes to God today, it's something that can 100% will change you tomorrow. A long time ago, I heard that the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better is growing in God's, it's growing in a relationship with God. The only guarantee that tomorrow will be better is listening to your Heavenly Father, is saying yes to your Heavenly Father, is saying yes to the calling of Jesus that's calling you to follow Him. The guarantee that tomorrow will be better is whatever you are saying yes today. I don't know about you, but my greatest regrets are associated with hearing but not doing. My greatest regrets are associated with things that I heard but I didn't do nothing about it. I bet you that's the same for you. If you aren't doing now, you probably won't be doing later. If you're not doing anything about it now, you won't be doing it later. You won't be prepared for what's next. Doing, not hearing, is what makes the difference. Doing, not hearing, is what makes all the difference. Jesus taught the same thing, and here's a familiar version that you probably heard before. He says something like this. He says something like that. Therefore, everyone who hears this word of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. For Jesus, doing is what makes it different, not hearing. He said, whoever hears my word. And we know, you and I know a couple of people that they hear a lot of Jesus' word. But Jesus himself says, whoever hears and do what I said is a wise person. And he said, it's like a wise man that built his house on the rock. The foundation was laid in one season. When he was building the house, you know, if you have a little construction background, that the first thing you do is the foundation of the house. And then you just start putting the main pillars and then the walls and the windows and the inside work. But the first thing is the foundation. Imagine how he felt digging, just digging, trying to go deeper until he finds the rock. That didn't feel very liberating. That didn't feel very good in the moment. But Jesus said he's a wise person. Why? Because he knows if I don't prepare today this house, tomorrow I might find myself in a very bad situation. And he adds and says, Jesus said, the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. It has its foundation on the rock. But the rock, he found it in one season in life. He was preparing for the storm way before there was a storm. If you want to be ready for what's next, today is the best day in which you can start doing something about it. Doing something today prepares you for tomorrow. Being a doer today will prepare you for tomorrow. You can. I remember today I have the habit of working. I work, I probably work a little bit too much. But I remember when I was 8 years old. 8 years old, my step grandfather used to bring me with him to help him work, just to pass him tools. I'm just a kid, 10, 8 years old, 11 years old. I'm around my step grandfather, and I remember that he was always working, doing something around the house, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm still helping him. And then it didn't feel very good about it. I did it. I wanted him to tell my grandma that that I'm a good guy, that I work hard. So I was just around my step grandfather, just helping him around with stuff. Little did I know that doing that in that season, when I was just a kid, just passing him tools, just being there around grown-up guys, grown-up men working, it was preparing me to be able to be doing what I do today. It matters what you do today. It matters the habits you create today, because maybe that's what's carry on tomorrow. I heard something very powerful the other day, that it says that the problem with us is that we're not doing nothing today. And he said the best thing you could have done, the first best thing, the number one thing that you could have done 25 years ago was to plant a tree 25 years ago. That was the best thing you could have done, plant a tree 25 years ago. The second best thing you can do right now is to plant a tree today. So tomorrow, 25 years from now, there's something that you are looking back and you have because of what you've done. What are you doing today? What are you doing today that will help you against the storm tomorrow? What are you packing in your bag? What do you have inside that will make you better fit, better prepared for tomorrow? What are the habits that you are acquiring? What is the things that you know that you're working towards, that it's going to get you ready for what's coming, and that relationship, on that business, that opportunity? What is it that you're doing today? And your emotions, what is it that you're doing to become better, to be better, that is getting you ready? Be a doer now, you'll be a doer later. What are you doing now that you shouldn't do, that you tell yourself you won't do later? Why don't you just stop it now? Stop waiting for later. Later will never come. Later will always be later. It's now that makes the difference. It's you have to stop whatever you're doing now. Don't tell yourself, I'll stop it later when I got kids. I will stop it later when I move in and when I get married. No, if you don't stop it today, there's no guarantee that you will stop it tomorrow. What are you doing? What are you not doing now that you should start doing it? That you tell yourself, oh, I'll do it later. James is telling us that you're deceiving yourself. James is telling us, Jesus is telling us, if you don't dig up now to build your house on the rock, tomorrow when the rain comes, you're going to be in trouble. You won't be ready for what's next if you don't prepare it right now. Jesus says, your life may come tumbling down. And you've seen this in many people. They didn't do what they had to do, and now their life is not as the way they expected. And doing, not hearing, is what makes the difference. Doing, not hearing, will determine if you are prepared for what's next. What do you do? What do you need to do now that will get you ready for what's next? And if you find what is it that you need to do now, my best advice to you now is just do it. Start doing something now, because being a doer now, it will make you a doer for tomorrow. Nothing will guarantee that tomorrow will be better if you don't start today, because today equals tomorrow. I'll see you next week in the second part of our brand new series, Pack Your Bags.